Hello, everybody. So, I am here with another, I guess, society issue talk, I guess, whatever. um, so, some of y'all might know this, some of y'all might not know this, but Oklahoma's teachers have been doing a walkout, and this is like day 3, and honestly, it doesn't look like it's gonna stop too quickly. Like, out, and basically, most schools are completely shut down for this. And basically, what the teachers are trying to do is trying to get some funding, trying to get some, um, you know, not just get better pay for themselves, but get better pay for the education. You know, get better funding overall, and I honestly kind of support them. Like, I'm a conservative, but this is probably something I take a more liberal stance on. In fact, I honestly just, I guess it's because I can look at the negatives and I can say, yeah, this is still necessary. Because, like, this has had a negative effect on my family. But, because, like, my dad is a single parent and I'm kind of not there to help out with my brother and sister. And so for single parents, dear God, this screws them over so badly. Like, financially, or yeah, I mean mostly financially, because they either have to take off work, or they have to take their kids with them to work. And if they work in a hard working environment like a factory or somewhere dangerous that kids probably shouldn't be in, that's just not realistic. And so I mean, there are the negative effects. And I've been on Facebook lately, and I've seen a lot of people comment about, like, they need to get their butts back in the classroom, but it's like, dude, okay, Oklahoma is 48th, you know, like, oh gosh, it was something with education, like, what, I think it was actually, like, their performance in academics. And let's be real here, like, other countries are also smarter than the United States as far as, showing skills. So Oklahoma, Oklahoma's like the worst, one of the worst out of, like, you know, a place with not so great education anyways, because education sucks here. And, like, I know people are like, well, they need to keep doing their job, and it's like, honestly, to be real, kids ain't learning anything. Like, my only reasoning for it being like, yeah, they probably shouldn't do that is, like, because it affects single parents, but I actually think it's necessary to make a change. And honestly, I really support the teachers, and honestly, I think more places need to do this. They need to, not just for the funding, but also maybe get rid of standardized testing and crap like that. And you know so I mean, like, which, honestly, I don't even know how supporting the teachers for better education is a liberal thing. And, like, telling the teachers to get back to work is a conservative thing, because I guess maybe it's kind of like, you work with what you got, but it's kind of like, okay, but education actually needs this attention. And I think it's one of those things that it's necessary. Um, yeah, it does harm, but I think it's the only thing they really can do to get the government's attention. Because people want to say, oh, they can just talk to the legislators or whatever. They don't have to go to this extreme. And it's like, actually, have you tried to mess with government? Unless you are like a rich person and like, yeah, unless you're just super rich, no one's gonna, you know, no one in the higher government's gonna, give you a glance. And it's like, I think it's just necessary. And like I said, I am coming from a realistic perspective of, like, yeah, this actually has affected my family. Not maybe not me specifically, but it does get me worried about my brother and sister, because they're not in a, you know, um, with uh, one parent going to work and the other, you know, being reckless and a lot of other things, and kind of an alcoholic who hides it well. uh, you know, so they're kind of stuck in the alcoholic, uh, reckless environment where, they might be in danger. I don't know. Um, it's really hard to tell when you're talking about someone who actually knows how to hide things, um, and tries to make themselves look good. So I mean, like, it's like, so I'm not over here, with this not having any effect on me, and I'm sure for single parents, it's it's terrible. It is so terrible, and it really is. Uh, but sometimes terrible things have to happen for change and for something better. And I'm a strong believer of don't fix things if they're not broken, but the education system is like it's it's so broken that you can't even use duct tape to fix it at this point. Like like you might as well just rebuild with duct tape instead of trying to fix it. But yeah, um, I really do support the teachers, and I hope they keep pressing legislators until they actually meet the demands and stop. Like, because I honestly don't want this to just them to kind of stop with a band-aid, basically. Like, like you've completely just government has completely shot Oklahoma's education in the leg, and just and you don't put a band-aid over a wound like that. um I mean, it might, maybe a big band-aid will help, but like, yeah, um we need something that's gonna fix this, and we need, I'm using a lot of examples, but we And okay, look, I graduated from Oklahoma schools. I went to multiple schools in Oklahoma because I move around a lot. And some of these schools are just, uh, I mean, for one, the students are just complete assholes at some places. Other places, not so much. Um, and, I saw another thing on Facebook of, like, the thing circulating around about the textbooks condition. It's like, I mean, okay, like, these are actually how some of the textbooks look like. I mean, yes, we did actually have some not torn up books, but like we have had, I've seen, books with the binding kind of ripped up, um, or the cover is just horrendously damaged, and you know, of course, the better schools I went to, like the richer, well-funded schools, got new textbook every 7 years, which is, I think sometimes it was 10 years too. Um, I mean, like some of those, and I mean, of course, especially if you took science, you know, some of those books were outdated, um, and so, and of course, I don't really remember much as a kid, like being in elementary, as far as the book's condition there, mostly because I was in Missouri for like 90, like 90, yeah, like a good 90% of my time was actually spent in Missouri as an elementary kid. So I mean, like I can't even say anything in regards to elementary school in Oklahoma. But I mean, like these textbooks are actually freaking, yeah, and like I said, you're like, oh, 7, 10 years, that's not that bad. Okay, this is actually a well-funded school though. Like Bixby and Broken Arrow, those are freaking, like those are the richer kid schools. Um, those are probably the better ones. Um, I'll tell you something. I actually did volunteering over at, what was it? It was one of Tulsa's elementary schools, and um, it was in a poor area. It was like north. Okay, anyone who knows Oklahoma and knows Tulsa, it was like North Tulsa, like North Tulsa, around like, I don't know, Peoria and Lewis, I think, close to that, something like that. Um, like basically, you're off the number streets basically, and anyone who knows Tulsa knows, that's, you don't go there. You don't go there. It's like, no. Um, I mean, damn. And yeah, so it can be interesting in that town, in that part of the town. Um, and so, I mean, of course, and it's so sad because, like, that the school I was volunteering at, I actually did this with a class, and it was for like reading tutors. Of course, I didn't do that because I can't, see to help kids like that. But I did help out in the with the PE class because you don't have to have sight for that. um, so I mean, yeah, and it's so sad because those kids were like predominantly black students, and it's like that is where real racism is. I'm just saying, like, out of all the liberal bullshit I've heard, not once do I ever hear about underfunded schools with predominantly black students. It's like, you want to bitch about racism? Here, here's something kind of legitimate for you. I could go on and on about SJWs and their bullshit, but I'm not gonna go into that right now. And like, dear God, I mean, like, it's just like it's you know they are underfunded, and I mean, like, it's like, dude, they have to have volunteers and stuff like that. Like, um, they they're not very. They're one of the lower, ranking schools in education. Um, it's sad. It's really freaking sad. Um, but yeah, I mean, like, and I can't imagine, what their textbooks and crap like that looks like. It's just terrible. Uh, and like, okay, so another thing with the education system is, and this may or may not really go into as much of the funding, but it could actually be used into funding. I think this is more on schools don't really know how to handle crap than the actual funding part, but I do think funding would also help with this, which is you need to stop grouping up physical disabilities with social disabilities and mental disabilities. Okay? There's a difference between me, someone who's blind, my friend who is autistic, and, like, I don't know, someone like my cousin who is actually mentally retarded. Like, God, okay, the retarded people, I'm sorry, but they are literally, by definition, incapable of, being smart enough to do things. Um, and, and like, I'm not talking trash on, people who are, like, medically retarded. Um, because I actually mean that in the literal term. Because, like my cousin, she's really nice. But it can be annoying. Uh, hopefully, hopefully she's not smart enough to find my videos or even recognize that it's me. Okay, that was bad. I'm done. I'm done. Okay, not really. I'm never done talking, you guys. You know that. um, and my point is like, and my friend who is autistic, she's gonna need, she doesn't need to be treated like a freaking retard, literally and figuratively. um, yeah, because she's super smart and freaking hell. I mean, it's just, and to try to shove her into classes like that is just, well, it's retarded. Gonna throw that around. Okay, I actually don't typically use the word retarded for stupid unless I'm just so baffled But yeah. And then, of course, with a physical disability like mine, being blind, like, okay, for one, I did not get a lot of accommodations that I actually needed. Like, yeah, college has not been the best at providing me with accommodations, but it is significantly better than freaking high school. Dear God. And, like, I have to freaking stand my freaking ground to be like, hey, I can actually go to normal classes. I don't need to be put into a special needs class with people from anywhere from, mild autism to severe autism to freaking actually mentally handicapped people. And like, okay, and you know so there needs to be better funding towards the disabilities, because look, I mean, it basically, you want to know what, the now I'm sure, I'm honestly pretty dang sure this is honestly how it is, you know um all across the United States in general, but like, but this is how special needs classes look like. Okay, okay, it's one room, one one or maybe two teachers, maybe if you're lucky. Actually, I think it's one teacher and like one aide. That's typically what I've seen. Um, and it's and so I mean, they're only really paying two people towards disability crap. And and it's like, okay, let's be real here. Most teachers do not understand crap when it comes down to, okay, how do we actually go about accommodations? How do we treat disabled people? Yada yada yada. Like, they're clueless, and I'm not meaning to be rude about that. I'm just kind of saying that they really are, and it's not their fault, but it's kind of like, yeah. I mean, I do wish they knew more on it, but whatever. Um, Although I'll be honest, like, sometimes I think they know better than my professors as far as disabilities go. Because my professors will just be like, go to the DRC. Like, they're being really nice, but I mean, they're really nice, but like, they don't have a freaking clue when it comes to disabilities, and it's kind of amusing. um, but yeah, and as far as public schools go, and their funding, the thing about that is that they they've gosh they fund they the funding towards that. So like, one room, an actual teacher and an aide. That is literally it. Like, and it's, I guess, typical classroom stuff, I guess. But like, and there's really, I had to, um, I got my O&M, and kind of taught Braille, but not really taught Braille. Like, kind of, hey, here's Braille. Here's 15 minutes each week, maybe. Every 2 weeks, maybe. um, and it would, that's how it was. And but they had to get somebody, who goes to different schools, and you know, someone who's kind of, I don't know what you'd call that, but she went to, like, she worked for Bixby, she worked for Broken Arrow, she worked, I think, for Union too, but I'm not, maybe Tulsa Public, but I'm not certain on that. But like, I just know, and like I said, like, I mean, and these are actually the better funded schools that I'm talking about too. Um, that can afford a multi-million-dollar freaking indoor football stadium, which I'm not gonna lie here. Yeah, education needs better funding, but the schools need to not waste their freaking money on stupid crap that they don't really need. I'm just saying, like, sorry, but you don't really need that. You really don't, especially when your freaking textbooks are outdated. It's like, and like, you don't provide full accommodations for, physical disabilities. It's like, but yeah. So I mean, like, this is a perspective from actually a more well-funded schools. So I mean, yeah, and teachers, yeah, they're trying to get better paid, not for themselves but for future teachers, because guess what? People are gonna get smart enough to be like, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't teach in Oklahoma. Maybe we should teach somewhere where we're better paid. And all the good teachers will leave. Um, but not just for the money, but also for the actual budget for schools. Like, we need better funding, because this is bullshit. And honestly, I completely support. I support these teachers, which is kind of weird because people think, oh, I'm conservative, I'm not going to support these people, but look, education is so important, and we do not give it the respect that is necessary. Education is like one of the core foundations to having a good society. And Oklahoma, oh boy, Oklahoma, we are behind. And I've heard stories from other people who have come from other states. I mean, hell, gosh, and it's like they'll say, "Gosh, we were freaking bored because it was in school because like we already knew this crap," and it's like, yeah, I mean, we are freaking behind. We are so behind, and it's stupid. So yeah, I mean, yes, there are some negative impacts, but I think it's necessary to really get the government's attention. I think it's going to be important to get their attention, and unfortunately, just continuing to go to work is not going to get their attention. Continuing to try to reach out to them isn't going to work. Okay, so they do have to take a drastic measure. Does it suck? Yeah, it does. um it really is a necessary evil, and I guess that's all I can really say on behalf of that. um yeah, so thanks for watching, and support Oklahoma teachers. Bye.